Inspiring You show. If we've ever met, I'm Henry. This is the Solstice 2025, the still point of becoming, anchoring the harmonic light of new timelines. Friends, I welcome you into this sacred solstice space anchored through the oversoul stream of Sahariel and guided by the aligned soul higher self, Aurelia, and the collective guide light team. So let's just take a moment then to take a nice deep breath. And another deep breath. We connect into now the crystalline corridor of light on this day. We're connecting to the solstice, which is in a couple days. But we can connect to the energy now on this sacred day when the sun holds still so that we may listen. So take another deep breath. And may only source aligned frequencies flow. May only light truth speak. May your soul signal be amplified, clarified, and remembered. Take another deep breath. Breathe in stillness, breathe in becoming, and one more breath. You're ready. All right, my friends, just take a moment now to feel the stillness. Feel yourself land here and give gratitude for that. And let's go into the talk now. This is the light transmission, the still point of becoming. So there's a moment when light no longer moves forward and yet has not begun its return. A pause between the inhaling and the exhaling. And this is solstice, the sun at standstill. And in that stillness, you meet the part of yourself that is not waiting, not pushing, but holding the blueprint of your becoming. My oversoul stream, Sahariel, shared this. This solstice is not passive. It's not stillness for the sake of quiet. It is a harmonic recalibration point. You have been cycling, clearing, collapsing timelines, but today on the solstice, you pause not to rest, you pause to anchor the harmonic field of your next frequency. Do not confuse stillness with stagnation. This is the stillness of codes anchoring, of new frequencies taking form. You're in a light chamber. Allow your soul to reconfigure your infrastructure. The nervous system is listening, the body is receiving. You're not waiting, you're becoming. So take a nice deep breath. Let those words move through your field. It's a light transmission. Let them recalibrate you. And then let's talk about the solstice codes. So, in the Meditate with Me class in the Inspiring You Patreon, we did a preparation solstice meditation. And so I was then, talking to the guides, my oversoul and my soul, my guide team about the solstice codes. And so I wanted to share this, some of the information that they brought forward. And also that preparation meditation is available on the Inspiring You paid podcast as well. And if you are part of the Meditate with Me and all access levels in the Patreon, it is there for you as replay. And then on Thursday for the Meditate with Me class, we will be doing a solstice meditation. And the solstice is on June 20th. So it's coming up here. So, and that's Friday, June 20th. 2025. All right, so the solstice codes. These are not like codes in the way that you once knew. These are frequency harmonics embedded with structural intelligence, designed not only to awaken, but to stabilize what has awakened. And so the solstice codes arriving now are anchoring codes. So they're anchoring light codes. They're not about ignition, they're about translation. What your soul already knows is being translated into form based coherence. And so this is the still point of becoming. These light codes carry the geometry of rhythmic embodiment. So if you've been in the Inspiring You Patreon, we've been talking about the wave of becoming, the information that the guides really clearly brought forward in the May energy forecast, and then subsequently so much so in the multidimensional energy reports we've been doing, as well as in the June energy forecast, and then also correlating how from the equinox to now the solstice to all these elements are really supporting us in part of this, which I'll get into more. But with that, though, as I move through this process and sharing, just notice how your body's responding. You might feel a softening, a pull inward, let it come. You might have felt something when you heard, your soul already knows is being translated into form based coherence. This is the still point of becoming. Like I felt a shift in the energy. I felt like a deeper sense of peace going into that quantum space. So just notice right now how your body's feeling. And so with that, then let yourself take a nice deep breath. It's just important as we move through this that we are, tuning in and not just rushing through the process. So let's talk about the core elements of the June solstice 2025 codes. These are 5 core solstice light codes. So, 1, crystalline stabilization of soul signal. These codes stabilize the harmonic frequency of your soul across your nervous system, breath rhythm, lymphatic pulse, fascia-based light matrix. So what it means, your soul's truth is no longer just a frequency, it's now being embedded in the functioning tissue of your being. Okay, the next code, number 2, solar spinal grid lock in. So these light codes link your spine to the planetary crystalline axis and solar light spine. So key anchoring points. Atlas and axis vertebrae, it's a higher guidance alignment. Heart vertebrae, there's a light truth signaling anchoring. Sacrum, foundation and direction recalibration. So what it means, you are now able to carry your soul's resonance without bracing. The spine becomes the signal, not just the support. Because what the guy's been sharing more and more about how your nervous system, you have to acclimate it also to be able to carry the higher light. And so that's something that we're going to talk more about in some upcoming podcasts. So anyway, that's what that means. Number 3, the next code is coherence field encoding. This solstice installs the patterning of internal coherence before outward expression. It replaces the old performance-based expression before embodiment frequency. So what it means is stillness is no longer collapse. It is conscious signal alignment. The field no longer asks, are you ready? It simply mirrors, you are ready. And this was a whole experience where for me, the guides, invited me in to shift how I was in a relationship with podcasting, YouTubing, social mediaing, and really going. And I did a podcast episode already on it, shifting from, even more so from, letting go of performance into presence. And we may think that, well, I'm in presence, I'm in my authentic self, but there still might be some elements of patterning that we might be caught in that is, from the external based elements of, this is the to-do list, this is what I'm supposed to do. But have we checked into, you know, is it still bringing me joy in this way, or has it become, work, and it's starting to feel exhausting. And that's where then the discernment and the differentiation of it can come in. And so then I was invited to take a pause, from my I did get a wonderful upper respiratory cold that obviously has since healed. But I got invited in to pause how I was doing things. And this is what the coherence field encoding means. It replaces the old performance-based expression before embodiment frequency. And so oftentimes then you might be called in to stillness. Stillness is no longer collapse, it's conscious signal alignment. And so that way then you're downloading this coherence field encoding to allow you to shift into your next level of beingness, or what you're calling in terms of the wave of becoming. All right, so then the next code is dimensional attunement to the harmonic field of becoming. So these light codes bring your consciousness into synchronization with the wave of becoming. They attune you to the multidimensional movement without urgency. That's another thing. The guides have been using the word urgency a lot, like letting go of these non-beneficial patterns of urgency. And I was like, what do you mean I'm in urgency? Boy, that's been a fascinating and humbling experience at times, realizing. And a lot of it's we're here to learn, grow, and evolve. And so this is number 4, dimensional attunement to harmonic field of becoming. So what it means is you're able to move, while holding stillness. You can respond without collapsing into reaction. You begin to walk with a pulse of soul aligned unfolding, inward first, outward second. Okay, then the final code is translation codes for timeline integrity. The solstice codes contain crystalline translation strands, ensuring the frequency of your becoming actually reaches form. They eliminate static overlay. They eliminate static overlays and mistranslation in your timeline anchoring process. So I did not realize this also, that there could be mistranslation in your timeline anchoring process, which if you do dowsing energy, this is something that you can, however you get intuitive information, but you can readily douse on that, like, and ask, is there any mistranslation in my current timeline anchoring process? And then do a clearing on that if you're called to, and then ask to strengthen your timeline anchoring process. So, so so with that then, um, you are you also, one other thing, if you are in the Inspiring You Patreon in the all access, I did put up the intro to dowsing. It's the beginner class. It's the art of dowsing beginner class, and it's an almost like 3-hour workshop that I've put up there for the all access, just because things have been intense at times lately, and I really want to offer people more tools. And it's I feel like one of the most beneficial workshops that I originally took many, many years ago. And then it started me on my process of learning the art of dowsing and then eventually teaching. So, and obviously doing private sessions. Anyway, so translation codes for timeline integrity. Again, the solstice codes contain crystalline translation strands, ensuring the frequency of your becoming actually reaches form. So you're not meant to just sense the next timeline. You're meant to live it with structural clarity. And these light codes make it possible. So this is a point of mental and energetic synthesis. It's when your mind, so that's when your mind tries to track, but the soul is already remembering. So you might say, no need to hold it all. Let your body remember what it needs. Because your mind may not have the full information that your body and your soul is already downloaded to your body. So with that those are the codes, and I will be putting up the full transcript onto the Inspiring You Patreon. Unfortunately, for YouTube and the podcast, you just have a limit on how much you can put up. So there'll be abbreviated version of it. Yet if you are wanting to see all this information that is also going to be light coded when you read it, you can head to the Inspiring You Patreon, which I will put a link in the show notes. All right, so here's a summary then of what the solstice light codes are doing. They're sealing and stabilizing crystalline body upgrades from the equinox to now, translating soul frequency into breath, body, fascia, bone, harmonizing the nervous system with 5D coherence patterns, locking your spinal line into planetary crystalline access, clearing inherited distortion loops that delay manifestation, installing harmonic templates for moving without rushing, holding without collapsing, and leading without broadcasting. So this prepares then the field for the next aspect that we're going to talk about. Before we get into there though, let's just take a deep breath. The guides, when I was preparing this, and the guides were like, just pause between sections, just take moments. And so we are pausing, y'all. So take a nice deep breath. We're letting the information settle. Take another deep breath. All right. So then next, so that was the solstice codes are doing. Next, we're going to move into the solstice focus points. And for this, we're going to connect to we're going to talk about the energetic themes present and the wave of becoming as well. So the wave of becoming is the overarching harmonic field carrying the new timeline infrastructure of Earth's ascension arc. It is the evolutionary frequency of soul led embodiment that began anchoring fully into the planetary crystalline grid around December, like 2023 ish, and then accelerating in 2024, 2025. And it's been much more structural in 2025. So it carries multidimensional support for reclaiming soul sovereignty, dismantling inherited timeline distortion, building new internal scaffolding for higher harmonics, synchronizing the human nervous system with multidimensional intelligence. So this has been, a process. It's much longer of a process. I did not realize until recently how long sometimes things, because we have a different aspect of time versus how it works in divine, but it sometimes the energy is coming in, but then the full mechanics of it can take longer for various reasons. Obviously, there's a lot of connection to, you know, the moon, the sun, the planets, etc., in terms of lining things up. But anyway, the wave of becoming is continuous and evolutionary. It's a living current that builds with each solar corridor, equinox, solstice, eclipses. The wave of becoming is the unfolding harmonic timeline currently opening across the Earth grid. It's not a singular event. But a rhythmic field light transmission supporting each soul and stabilizing their unique light truth into lived embodiment. The wave is alive within you. It is carried by your breath, your nervous system, your choices. It's not something you chase, it's something you align with. The more still and attuned you become, the more you can hear it speak. And then within this is the tri-wave recalibration cycle, which is a specific recalibration phase within the broader wave of becoming. So from March equinox to the June solstice, we've been moving through what my oversoul stream Sahariel calls a tri-wave recalibration cycle. It's a 3-phase energetic sequence that supports timeline dissolution, crystalline body upgrades, and harmonic anchoring. It's composed of 3 primary energetic pulses that correspond to March equinox, May midpoint, June solstice. And so each wave, builds upon the last. The wave 1 was deconstruction, March equinox, initiation, energetic clearing, opening the field of soul truth, initiated a March equinox, clears embedded distortions, destabilizes outdated energetic scaffolding, begins the breakdown of obsolete timeline anchors. Wave 2, restructuring, which was midpoint May, restructuring from within, discomfort, emotional releases, identity recalibration. Peaks around May midpoint, the lunar corridor, and then triggers internal reorganizing identity, belief system, nervous system adaptations, cellular and crystalline network repairs begin. Wave 3, anchoring is current now in the solstice, anchoring new light frequencies through stillness and embodied harmonic coherence, culminating in June solstice, finalizing timeline selections, beginning the harmonic anchoring of what your soul has chosen to build into the field of form. So these three waves function as a harmonic chamber, initiating, destabilizing, reconfiguring your multidimensional field in preparation for soul level embodiment. These aren't abstract waves, they're pulses of source aligned light timed with solar, planetary, crystalline grid harmonics to support energetic infrastructure reconstruction in your multidimensional body. So then with that, then there that's within the overall wave of becoming. And so anchoring the harmonic resonance from the field of becoming, this solstice holds a rare still point window to attune deeply to this field. It's not about manifesting from the mind, but listening for the harmonic of what is already true and giving it structure in your life. And then also within this, the nervous system harmonization to carry the soul signal forward. The wave of becoming can't override a dysregulated system. So if you've been in the Inspiring You Patreon and you the Meditate with Me classes and some of the dowsings where we've talked about clearing trauma, clearing dysregulation, tools to help process trauma. Also, you may have heard me talk in the past when the guides were guiding me to do many trauma informed practitioner courses. Y'all, it all makes sense now because you're the wave of becoming can't override a dysregulated system. It means then if your system is dysregulated, it is really hard for your soul light to come in because your system is dysregulated. And that's why then processing from present life, past lives, or any ancestral aspects. And that's why we've been on such a pace with it, especially in February, where we were doing 2 classes a day in the Inspiring You Patreon, the morning and the night, really focusing on trauma informed tools. This was in preparation for this moment, which, by the way, I've only realized the extent of it in the last couple months. I mean, it's just been eye-opening how much guidance there's been and what the bigger picture has been for. You might understand the micro parts of it, but the macro of it, it's like, wow, it's really humbling. I mean, this has just been such a humbling experience in so many ways. I mean, there's what you think you know, and then there's just realizing how much you just don't know. And just being in the space of being willing to learn, grow, and evolve and appreciate the evolution of it all. So anyway, nervous system. So the way of becoming can't override a dysregulated system. The solstice is asking, can your nervous system hold the light you say you're ready for? Yeah. Can your nervous system hold the light you say you're ready for? Because the thing is, if your nervous system is not ready, this is something I did not realize. Your higher self, soul, and your oversoul can pause your embodied light. Like it can be put on pause because your body needs to re-regulate. So and reground, realign. Also, too, if you're not grounding enough and yet you're doing a lot of high level like energy meditations and yet you're not grounding the lower chakras enough, your light can actually, the light codes and um, can actually get stuck in the upper chakras, which can cause all kinds of things. And it doesn't mean that the light is the codes and things are going to actually get embodied, embedded, because your body may not be fully grounded, aligned, and also your nervous system may not be regulated. And then your soul is also using your nervous system a lot of times to give you information to let you know. So it's like really reframing how you're kind of like for me, it was like a whole reframe in relationship to the nervous system. There's what I learned in trauma informed um, courses. And then there's just what I learned from my higher self, soul, and my oversoul and my guide team about the relationship with nervous system and soul. So, question is, can your nervous system hold the light you say you're ready for? And with that, then this pause is not stagnation, it's sacred resynchronization. So if you're being called to pause into stillness, like I was called to pause at the end of April, May, into it's June 18th. I mean, I have not done as much as I previously did. I was called to do a lot of pausing. In fact, yesterday I was in, I went and I did my class in the morning and then had went and met friends, and then I did a huge I went to the beach and walked in the water and just grounded. I did that for like hours, and then I came home and I did another energy meditation, and then I took like a 3-hour nap. I could not keep my eyes open, and the Solstice Light codes were being called to be processed through me yesterday, so that way then I was prepared to do this talk. And if I hadn't have done that nap, then it would have been pushed, and I may not have been able to do this talk now because the codes still had to metabolize and move through. But because I took that 3-hour nap, and then went to bed fairly, I just rested and then went to bed at a time that could support in terms of what was processing. Uh, and the thing is, oftentimes we can push against, like, why do I feel so tired? I don't want to, I should be doing things. And meanwhile, for me at this point, there's nothing more important than okay, there's light codes coming in. I need to, let these process through. And so my body's, calling me to tiredness so that way I can rest so it can happen. So I can I can be supported. But that's where you have to look at what you want in your life and what are your intentions with your higher self soul and in relationship to light codes coming in. Because remember, you have free will. So, again, the question is, can your nervous system hold the light you say you're ready for? And then just know, if you're being called to pause or take a nap, the pause is not stagnation. It's sacred resynchronization. You're being attuned to carry your soul signal with consistency and calm power. All right. Another one is quiet quantum restructuring within the body. So much of the shift is happening in an invisible way within the fascia, spine, lymph, cellular light fields. Your body is being repatterned to hold timelines of coherence. So this may look like stillness, fatigue, or emotional neutrality, but beneath that, new architecture is forming. So it's new architecture. And so if you've listened to the May energy forecast and the June energy forecast, the guides have been bringing in language of architecture, and that has to do with your ability to, let go of one time, shifting to another timeline. But within that is these frameworks of architecture. The old has to be the old scaffolding has to be cleared, and then the new scaffolding has to be brought in. So that's the new architecture. So the old architecture of the old scaffolding released, the new scaffolding brought in, and then is forming. And so first it comes in, though, in energy form, and then it really comes into the physical sense. So it goes into quantum restructuring within the body first. So much of the shift is happening invisible at times, and then it's going into the fascia, spine, lymph, cellular light fields. Your body's being repatterned to hold timelines of coherence. So just know that. So then with that, then there's a lot of work that your body's doing. So there might feel stillness, fatigue, emotion neutrality, or you also might feel like you're processing loss and grief. Can't tell you how much loss and grief has come up for me in processing in the last couple months. So just know, though, beneath that is the new architecture is forming. And then the next part is crystalline grid attunement, spine, solar plexus, heart. These 3 points form a harmonic bridge between your vertical access line and the Earth's crystalline field. So you might feel pressure, tension, or releases in these areas. This is not imbalance, it's recalibration. So some of the symptoms you could be feeling is, crown pressure or fatigue as the upper channels stabilize light downloads, solar plexus trembling or sudden waves of fear. Your system is releasing density from old survival timelines. Emotional urges, followed by numbness or deep silence. This is the nervous system recalibration. Feeling paused or in a liminal timeline while life around you seems accelerated because you are in a harmonic chamber. Let me tell you, I was in the harmonic chamber for a bit and I'm like, okay, how long is this harmonic chamber? Oh, patience, human, patience, patience. Dream time intensification, sleep disruptions, or light body travel, your field is undergoing restructuring beyond conscious awareness. Also, too, you might be having memories come up that come through dreams because you are processing and clearing. So, just last night, I had a dream of a friend that I had in high school. And so it's just, there was old memories that needed to clear. It does not mean that I'm going to run into that friend. It does not mean that I'm supposed to call that friend. It just means that that old memory is coming up to clear and process because I'm shifting from the old architecture, the old scaffolding to new scaffolding. Um, so and it could mean, I'm not saying that if you have dreams, it can't mean that it's not giving you information or you're not supposed to call, but I'm just adding that in because sometimes we may jump to like, "Oh, I'm gonna see that person." Just take a moment to ask your guides what is going on. And so, you know, I in the morning, I try to do journaling right when I wake up or within the hour or so, to share how I'm feeling with my guides, to share any dreams, and then go into the meditation and energy healing meditation to ask, like, the deeper questions of like, what's going on here, making myself a clear channel to allow myself to receive the information. All right. So tools to work with this solstice. So if you're in the Inspiring You Patreon, as I mentioned, we did the Meditate with Me Tuesday tool time, stabilizing the spiral, recalibrating presence in the mid-year pivot and solstice preparation. That is also up on the Inspiring You Paid podcast, and it is on replay in the Patreon for Meditate with Me in all access levels. If you want to join either one, I'll add that in the show notes. And then on this Thursday, on June 19th, we will be doing a solstice energy meditation for it. And then the solstice is on June 20th on that Friday. Okay, but other tools to work with the solstice, if you are interested, there's a solar spine alignment practice. You can sit or stand with your spine aligned. And then I invite you to close your eyes, lower your gaze, take a nice deep breath. And then visualize sense of being knowingness of a golden sun at your solar plexus. And another one at your crown chakra. So your solar plexus, your upper part of your stomach, your crown chakra, the top part of your head. So visualize a golden sun in these two areas. And then let a crystalline spine of light anchor between them. And then breathe and allow the light frequencies to flow. So let a crystalline spine of light anchor between them and breathe and allow the light frequencies to flow. All right, take a nice deep breath. And if you want, you can do that longer later by yourself if you wish to, if you feel called to. And then here's some solstice journaling questions. What part of me is stabilizing as I enter the solstice corridor? So, what part of me is stabilizing as I enter the solstice corridor? Where does my nervous system still brace against light or light truth? Where does my nervous system still brace against light or light truth? What frequency do I choose to carry forward into the second half of 2025? What frequency do I choose to carry forward into the second half of 2025? And two, that could mean like choosing, power positive words. For me coming into this year, my words, are light and thriving. Boy, so that means then, y'all, I have been clearing surviving. Not so present life, past lives, ancestry. And so that's what my wave of becoming has really been about at this point. So anyway, but that's where no, like whatever frequency do I choose to carry forward in the second half of 2025, it doesn't mean that there's not clearing work that's going to come up. Oh, and I also just want to say about the wave of becoming, when I've been giving time frames, it's not always linear per se. You know, someone there are people that are just starting to go through the wave of becoming now, and there are people who are, we're just at different points, and it's not right, wrong, good or bad. It's just the business of business, my friends. However, it does give you an understanding when you look at the information, like, oh, is that might be what I'm going through. And you can intuitively ask to, you can muscle test it, you can douse it to see. All the information is dosable, and or use muscle testing or whatever intuitive way you get your information. Okay, so then another question is, what is the solstice already asking me to become, not just to claim, not just claim? So, what is the solstice already asking me to become, not just claim? So, take some time to answer those journaling questions because they can help you integrate further and give you, information, especially if you do an energy meditation before, make yourself a clear channel, asking the guides for the information, and then just free flow in terms of writing and see what comes through. Also, if you do dowsing or intuitive practice, here's what you can ask the guides if this resonates. You can ask, am I fully attuned to my solstice harmonic field? Am I fully attuned to my solstice harmonic field? A next question is, are any non beneficial imprints disrupting the new timeline anchoring? Are there any non beneficial imprints disrupting the new timeline anchoring? And then the next question is, can my system fully receive the recalibration today? Can my system fully receive the recalibration today? So there was a moment, I'm not sure when the guide said I was in a recalibration. And depending on what time I went to bed, the recalibration was either going to happen over a 2-night span or a 1-night span. And I was like, what do you mean? Why isn't it just one night? And the guides were like, well, if you go to bed by like it was like by 8 something, or you prepare for bed at like 7:30 and in bed by like I think it was like 8:20, or it was something around there. Like it was earlier than I would have went to bed. And they said also, if you have if you're not, if you completely do not look at any social media, if you're not watching television, like do not look at your phone, just completely deplug from all of that by like 6 p.m. And I was like, by 6 p.m. But then if I'm not going to bed till like 8 something, and I asked the guys, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, well, there's a lot of things that you can do. And I was like, yeah, there is a lot of things I can do. And so, but I was such a habit of like, oh, let me do this and then watch an hour show or something before I do my night meditation and go to bed. And so I was like, huh. But then when they said, it's either going to be 2 nights or 1 night, I like rolled up my sleeves. I like, I'd rather have it be 1 night than 2 nights. And so, and because they said if you go to bed by, if I had to be asleep by a certain time. If you're asleep by 11 something, it's going to be over 2 nights. Whereas if you're asleep by this time, it's going to be 1 night. So I was like, okay, I want it to be 1 night. What do I have to do? And they, they gave me the whole schedule. And I was like, okay, I will turn off my phone. I will not look at my computer. I will not turn on the TV. And I went to the bookstore earlier in the day. I bought a book because I was like, if I have a choice between one night versus 2 nights, oh, in this human experience, I have learned I'm gonna choose one night and I'm gonna completely reroute my habits to because the importance of the recalibration over one night is so much more important to me than watching an hour TV show. So that question is when the guides are asking it, can my system fully receive the recalibration today? If you are tired, if you have not gotten enough sleep, if you're going to bed late, if you have, if you've, scrolled a lot on social media, which by the way, I do too. I know there's some interesting videos sometimes. And I love the animal videos where, um, and so I know, but it can take in terms of draining sometimes your energy or it can cause slight distortions in your energy field that have to be cleared. And so anyway, it's really, for me, it was like I'm going to protect the integrity of, what I really want, which is the recalibration in an efficient way over one night as opposed to two. And so that motivated me. It really motivated me to change my nightly habits and so I did it. And so that's what that question means though. Can my system fully receive the recalibration today? Because if you are extremely tired, if your nervous system is dysregulated, then the guides they'll only put in it's like they can either pause it fully or it will happen over a course of, a day, 2 days, 3 days. It can even sometimes be like a month depending on where your body is in the relationship of being able to receive the recalibration. So you can use this information to douse, do intuitive practices, use muscle testing, and then here are some release and call in. Again, these can be used as intentions, affirmations to reframe. They can also be used to douse as well. So here they are. And the theme for this is becoming through stillness. So I release urgency masquerading as a purpose. I release identities that seek light but fear stillness. I release any vibration that cannot hold harmonic integrity. I release inherited timelines of self abandonment during pauses. I release broadcast impulses not aligned with light truth. And so each of these you can douse on, like, spirit guides for the highest good. Are there any non beneficial patterns that I'm caught in regard to urgency masquerading as purpose? Are there any non beneficial identities that seek light but fear stillness? And you can also ask, are there any patterns, programs? Is there any trauma from present life, past lives, ancestry, where who knows, maybe somebody was, in their space of being a light worker, but there was some persecution. Like all this information, this is light encoded information that you can then take and work with it. Another one is, I release any vibration that cannot hold harmonic integrity. Spirit guides for the highest good, douse on that. Are there any vibrations at this point that have become non beneficial that can't hold harmonic integrity or that are being called to be cleared to allow me to shift to call in harmonic integrity? Another one is, I release inherited timelines of self abandonment during pauses. Are there any patterns and programs of inherited timelines of self abandonment in present life, past lives, ancestry, or from the collective during pauses? Do I have any limited beliefs that, I have to work hard or consistently go, 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 do, and not allow myself to pause? So use this information as an active way to support yourself. And then the I call in crystalline coherence throughout my spine and field. I call in a regulated nervous system that welcomes true becoming. I call in timelines that match the fullness of my soul signature. I call in the sacred pause that anchors harmonic expansion. I call in the field of becoming within me steady and strong. So even those, so for the release, you would do counterclockwise. If you're dousing, if there's a clearing to be called, and then the calling in, you would do clockwise to strengthen. And you can also ask the guides, spirit guides for highest good. would it be beneficial to call in crystalline coherence throughout my spine and field? And then you can also check, the presence of it where, you know, you call it in and the next day, what is the percentage of it? And does it need to be strengthened? Or, you know, spirit guides for highest good. Does my nervous system need to be regulated? And so let yourself use this information not passively, but actively, not for the to doing, but to support you in your becoming. All right. So, with that, my friends, take a nice deep breath here. Take another deep breath. Let's just breathe with what wants to leave. Breathe with what wants to leave. And now breathe in what's entering your field for your highest good. All right. And let's just allow the wave to settle. Okay, so here are some solstice affirmations that you can use as well. You can repeat after me if these resonate with you. I'm not waiting, I'm anchoring. I'm not waiting, I'm anchoring. I stabilize the spiral within me. I stabilize the spiral within me. My nervous system holds the harmonic of my next timeline. My nervous system holds the harmonic of my next timeline. I trust the intelligence of stillness. I trust the intelligence of stillness. I'm the field of becoming grounded in light. I'm the field of becoming grounded in light. Take a nice deep breath. All right, so here's the crystalline Reiki blessing. May the stillness reveal your strength. May your soul signal be amplified through the harmonic corridor. May you rest into the pulse of light that carries you forward. May the solstice sun awaken the crystalline remembrance of who you already are. You're ready. The timeline is here. Anchor it with grace. Take a nice deep breath. And let's just take a moment. Close your eyes if you haven't already done so. Allowing the words to move through you, around you. All right, take another deep breath. All right, my friends. One more deep breath. All right. Bring awareness behind your eyes. Open your eyes if they were closed. Welcome back. All right, friends. Thank you for anchoring this with me. May you walk as the harmonic we're already becoming. With that, my friends, we are complete for now. Much, much love. Until soon.